Guys, I know it's been a while since I posted something on YouTube. I think it's been over a month. And I've been dealing with some health issues, and my work has been really kind and letting me work remotely while I work through some of the health issues that I have. And I will be posting a video on that and my progress and the steps that I've taken to try and work through some of my health issues. But for this time, we are going to do a sewing video. This is a winter coat that I purchased off of eBay, and it's kind of a reddish orange, and it's got these really big buttons that I love. A big selling point for me was the buttons, and it's got this huge Peter Pan kind of collar, and I thought this is just perfect, cottagecore, a little bit hippie, little bit out of step, and I was thinking, yeah, this is totally me. But I wanted to do something a little more fun. So what I'm doing is decorating it with some tiny little flowers. So I found these embroidered flowers off of Etsy, and I got about 50 of them. They are just super tiny, about half an inch. And I love how they look on this fabric, especially alternating the blue and the orange. I think it just creates the right amount of whimsy for me. So here I'm just laying out the flowers, trying to figure out exactly what the spacing would be like. And I think 1 inch spacing is pretty good. And of course I haven't laid out all the 50 flowers. This is just kind of a proof of concept. So this is the very first flower that I'm gonna place there. I just kind of placed it just to really see, and yeah, that's a good spot. So I'm just drawing a little dot beneath it. So I'm drawing dots about every inch. So I'm just trying to make sure that they line up and they don't look too crooked or jagged, or one is up, one is down, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it just to get them placed right. So I often get this question, what kind of thread are you using? What I'm using is a red thread. This is an all-purpose polyester. Polyester just because I am frugal and I don't want to pay a lot of money for some cotton, which I know would be a lot better. I've heard cotton is a lot better, but polyester seems to work okay, and I'm not going to change my frugal ways unless I win the lottery or something crazy like that. So what I'm doing first is just sewing the initial stitch just on the coat itself. This is just to make sure I get it placed really right. And so the second stitch is through the embroidered flower. And I was surprised that this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Just finding that initial entry point that'll just let me put the needle through. And hopefully you get the needle through without piercing your fingers. And I thought I almost did that. Just trying to force that little needle through all of that Beautiful stitchery. And now the third stitch is going to be through the coat. And then we're going to go back through the flower. So my thought is just to make this project just as easy as possible. So I know I can easily get the needle through the coat, and the flower's a little more tricky, so I didn't want to have to do both of those steps at the same time. So that's why I'm doing one stitch and then the other stitch, just to make it as easy as possible. Just so I didn't get frustrated trying to do the two stitches at the same time. So I'm just making sure I've got a few stitches on the flower, on one side and then the other side, and then you can just tie it off, which is a little bit tricky because you got to do the loop, and you're messing around with a very tiny flower, and you want to hide your tie off under the flower. So that's a little bit tricky, and it took me a couple flowers really to get in the swing of how to do that. Oh, and now I've got the knot kind of just hanging loose, and I don't want it to be hanging loose, so I'm just going to stitch another one through the coat just to kind of hide the knot, and then we can cut it. So now we're ready for our second flower. And now I know it might be a little bit of a challenge getting the needle through. So I don't have the expectation that I had on the first one. I know it's going to take a couple of tries to get that needle through. And you just try to make sure you're not looping your thread along the petals. For some reason, those petals just ache for a bit of sewing on them. And there was a couple of parts during this project where I could not get the thread to unloosen from the petal, and I just left it there. And it's fine. You know, the thread is red. You know, it blends in really good with the coat color. So I don't think it'll make any bit of difference, but it's just frustrating while you're trying to do really good work and all of a sudden your thread just does whatever it wants. So I'm doing the stitches on both sides of the flower just to make sure the flower is going to stay put. I don't want it to start spinning or catch on things. I want it to be, you know, just solid, just sitting there. The stitches look a little bit weird when you're doing them like that, but it's kind of like sewing on a button. You want to make sure it's really good. You know, you don't want to have to redo it, and you don't want to lose a flower, because I've already used up all my 50 flowers and I don't have any more, so then you'd have to go back to your Etsy shop, and you don't want to do that. So try to do the best job you can while you're doing these kind of projects. And this is flower number 3. By about the third one, I felt like I really knew what to expect. I know it's going to be a little bit of a challenge getting the thread through the embroidery, so I know just to stay calm and find a good spot to push the needle through. And your hands kind of have this muscle memory kind of thing. You know, the first one is feeling really awkward, like you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing, and you're questioning whether you're really sewing in the best method. But by the third one, you know, you're feeling pretty groovy. You know, you're feeling like my hands know what to do. It's not too bad. We're sewing on this way and then this other way, and you get kind of in a different motion with your hands, and you don't have to think so hard about every stitch. So it's really nice when you get to that point in the project. And here's the finished coat. So I've got my flowers all sewn into the collar, and they just look so much fun. And I had to space them out a little bit more on the sleeves because I was running out of flowers, but the collar was my big focus, and I really like how this project turned out. And thank you everybody for watching, and hopefully the next video I will do a little bit sooner, not another month, but hopefully my health will improve, and I will see you guys next time.